Hi everyone. So in the last couple of hours, Moderna has just announced some data from its phase 1 trial of its mRNA vaccine against coronavirus. And it's become the first company to achieve several milestones now. So now the first company to show safety, immunogenicity, and neutralizing antibodies for its vaccine. So onto the specifics of the trial. It's a trial that was sponsored by the NIH. Healthy volunteers were enrolled to receive one of 3 doses of the coronavirus vaccine. They received an initial dose and then a booster, and across 3 different dosage, so 25 micrograms, 100 micrograms, and 250 micrograms. And basically the data are in an interim look at the data are available, and it's very good news. So firstly, safety. The vaccine looks to be safe and in line with what we'd expect based on other experience with Moderna's mRNA vaccine platform. There was one instance of injection site redness at the 100 microgram dose, and also some grade 3 adverse events at the 250 microgram dose. But these were transient, and actually the company is not progressing with the 250 any further, so 100 will be the new top dose. Immunogenicity. So the company was able to show that in every single patient dosed so far, which is 45 patients, there was a dose-dependent immunogenic reaction. So clearly the vaccine is eliciting an immune response. And then this immune response was also producing neutralizing antibodies. The antibodies were produced at levels which suggest that these would also produce immunity in the real world. So the levels of antibodies produced were somewhat in the range of the antibody levels that you'd expect from patients patients that have recovered from COVID-19 in their plasma. So 3 reasons to be very encouraged by the data. So what's happening next? The NIH is expanding this trial. One caveat is that all of the patients so far were between the ages of 18 and 55. So now, obviously, we need to know what it's going to be like in different patient groups. So older patients and perhaps more frail patients will be, or I'd say volunteers will be tested. The company will also is looking to start its phase 2 trial next month. So phase 2 is now going to be the first placebo-controlled test. So patients will be randomized to receive either placebo, 50 micrograms or 100 micrograms. In essence, it's trying to replicate everything that we've seen so far. So safety, immunogenicity, and neutralizing antibodies. The company's also starting its phase 3, and this is happening in July. So it's not hanging around at all for phase 2. Normally you'd have your phase 2 trial and then the results in that trial would inform phase 3. The company is going to be plowing straight into phase 3 as one of the many ways it's shaving down time in its development cycle. So phase 3 will be the true test of whether the neutralizing antibodies that are produced actually confer immunity in the real world. It's all very well to demonstrate in a petri dish or in a mouse challenge model, which is what they've shown as well. But we really need to know, are these levels of neutralizing antibodies actually effective against coronavirus in people that are going about their daily business? So this is a much more difficult question to answer. And it relies on, firstly, it relies on the vaccine being effective, and also, secondly, relies on the spread of the virus. So Moderna's US focused. It's actually a pretty good thing to be in at the moment. There is still quite a high background rate of coronavirus infection in the US, and states are nevertheless still opening up. So there's going to be more freedom of movement. So it's likely that there's still going to be a pretty moderate background infection rate. In order to test it in a placebo-controlled way whether a vaccine is effective, you need to have people that are getting infected. So actually, in the scenario whereby social distancing measures are still enforced, very few people will be getting affected. So you just need that many more people and that much longer period of time to actually demonstrate that the vaccine is better than placebo. So with this phase 3 trial starting in July, that's fantastic. It should mean that fantastic in a sense that there still will be people getting infected, so we can prove that vaccine is working. Obviously, you'd much rather there be no infections, but the reality is we need a vaccine as like the exit strategy for coronavirus. So yeah, we've announced some timelines. July for phase 3, June for phase 2. The actual getting results from that phase 3 trial are kind of elastic. We don't quite know when we're in a position to get results because, as I say, it does depend on that background infection rate. One way around that is quite controversial, is to go into the realms of things such as human challenge studies, whereby you'd be exposing people that have been vaccinated to the virus on purpose. But I don't think that's ever going to be appropriate in this case, ethically, partly because we're also not in a position yet where we have effective COVID-19 treatments. I know we have remdesivir that has this emergency use authorization, and there is plenty of other work going into antivirals, but I think we wouldn't be able to kind of confidently treat a patient that it would just be unethical to expose the patients deliberately to the virus without having a better treatment than perhaps remdesivir to manage that. All the while this clinical trial work is happening, Moderna is also investing hugely into manufacturing scale-up. So it's received a lot of money from the organisation BARDA, and it's also working with partners such as Lonza to help manufacture, talking about producing up to 1 billion doses each year. The company is also aggressively targeting, hundreds of millions of doses potentially to be available for this year. If there is such a thing as an emergency use authorization, it might be able to roll out the vaccine at scale to perhaps healthcare workers quite quickly. Just going to wrap up the video by congratulating Moderna. I think it's really good results. In the words of their CEO, he said he couldn't be happier with the data set, and I'd be inclined to agree. So my next thing I'm looking out for is immunogenicity in phase 2, and is it comparing those data to placebo now. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you've enjoyed reading about Moderna's vaccine as much as I have, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.